So what we're going to do is create a base map under the assumption that survey was provided to us or for us. And in this case, for this project, I'm providing one for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the DWG file, navigate to that folder, and you should be able to find that in the reference folder through the Google Drive, that link that I've provided for you all. So you would just download this and then open the file up, and you should see something like this. This is just a whole bunch of white and kind of this shape. So right now I'm in a layout. I'm in my Mac, or on my Mac. You're probably on your PC, but there are a model space and layout space, and there should be an icon similar to this, and you want to be in your model space. So in your model space, you'll see that a layers menu. If you don't see layers, you need to go to Windows and turn your layers on. I also have a properties inspector, and I believe you have that as well, but you can turn on and off your windows here through the Windows tab. So you'll notice that all these things are white, and one of the things that I want to first emphasize when we work in CAD with this is that we work with line weights. That means that each line will have a different thickness, which will help it read better, and that'll become more apparent when we print this thing out. And we have color. We have something called pen settings, which basically allocates a thickness of line, a width, to a color. So that being said, what I want to do is go through and then change some of these lines to be different colors so they'll read better, and also change their line type, potentially their line scale, and their colors so that they'll print correctly, and again they'll read better. So first I'll go to my design lines, and I think I'll make those red. So instantly you begin to see different things, and the drawing begins to read a little differently. The hardscape concrete, I'm going to turn that yellow. Parcels, let's make those yellow. Structures, like red. The terrain, actually make the terrain a gray color. Vegetation, let's go green with that. Ooh, a lot of vegetation. Impervious hardscape, let's make that red. Hardscape pervious, red. Okay, so we have some fills in here. So you'll select this, and you'll see that it's a fill, and we'll use that later on in our inventory, but right now we won't really worry about that. And as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and turn that off. So I believe it was that, and also I'll turn off that veg lawn. Now if you're on a layer, make this active, and you try to turn a layer, keep the current layer on. If you're on a layer and you try to turn it off, it won't allow you, or it'll prompt you. So just double click, or I'm right clicking and going make active, so that I'm not on the layers that I'm turning off. So I don't want that veg lawn. Site boundary, let's make that magenta. So now we can more easily see our design, or more easily see the site that we will be designing on. Structures, again, let me maybe make that yellow. Title block, yellow. Utilities, veg lawn, red. Planter red. It's fine. We don't need that. It's another fill. And okay, vertical vegetation, vertical plane. Okay. All right. So now we can see these things better. Actually, I'm going to make that green. All right. Now, still the lines are all the same, and in AutoCAD you have the ability to change line types, which means that you can change, which we just do the parcels, for instance. Now I'm in the property inspector, the properties of the parcels, and I'm going to go to the line type, and you'll see that Phantom is actually selected as opposed to continuous. Now you see the continuous is one straight line, and dash would be these little dashes, and so on and so forth, and there's several different line types that you can select from, and if you don't see any here, you simply click load, and there's more line types to build from. But we're going to close that out. This one already has a line type associated with it, and the reason why these line types aren't displaying now is because this thing is not to the scale that we are going to be working at with the drawing. We are, I believe, building these base maps on 11 by 17. So the scale that I selected was a 20 scale. So in order to convey a 20 scale and work at a 20 scale in your model space, what I like to do is a line type scale or model space scale modifier. So type scale, and I want to change that to 20. And I did that just by going LT scale. You should be able to see my keys, but just in case, line type scale, and make that 20. And you'll see instantly that all the line types appear on your drawing. So the contours have been dashed and so on and so forth. And for instance, if I wanted to make this line type continuous, and you see the difference. I'm just going to Command Z, which is an important shortcut to remember. Command Z or Control Z, it goes back on your drawing, so it undoes what you just did. And you use that constantly. So now we have the drawing, the line type scale to the scale that we want to work at. We have the colors set, and I would like for you to use these similar colors that I'm using in this instance. And I'm actually going to make this white. This is our design lines. I didn't distinguish between structures, but we're going to actually make this one white, and I'm making this one white because white will print thicker. And actually, even beyond making it white, I'm actually going to give that thing a global width. So I'm going to make that 1, and it just gives a line of thickness throughout. So whatever scale it's on, it'll still have that width. And actually, maybe 1's a little big. Let's go 0.5. I just want it to stand out from the other elements because it is the outline of the pad of the home. Okay, cool. Alright, so that's done. You can copy these colors that I have it at now to help everything read so everybody's base map will be consistent. The way the color ramp works, and I told you we had pen settings, the LDI, or you guys are using Sasaki, excuse me, the Sasaki pen settings that you should have installed, and I should show you how to do that. You would go to okay, so in Mac, I'm going to go to my file, plot styles. And this might be a little bit different on the PC, so we'll have to navigate through that, but I can walk you through that. But at any rate, you'll see here that you have different pen settings, and these are just files telling AutoCAD the thickness that each color should be, that people have pre-designated. You can just save that as a template so you can reuse again and again. So what you want to do is, if you don't have your Sasaki in here, and in this case I'm using LDI, that's going to be the one that I print from, but it's very similar in Sasaki, so I think it'll be fine. You need to simply drag that LDI Sasaki into this window, and once you drag it into the window, you'll be able to print from it. So for instance, let me just copy this one out. If this was here and I had a copy of it, you would just drag it in, done, there. So that's how you load your pen settings, and that, like I said, that'll become more evident when they actually print this thing. You'll be able to see different thicknesses. Alright, so now what we want to do is just do the page setup, right? Because we need to print this thing to a scale. So go down here again and go to Layout, and you can actually right-click on your layout, I believe, on the PCs, and go Page Setup Manager. Here I have to go Edit Page Setup. It's a little bit different on the Mac. And I am going to do an 11 by 17 for my paper size, and what else am I going to do? Oh, my pen settings here. Plot style table, so this is the one that I'm selecting. You would select your Sasaki. Then I'm going to select OK. And you'll see that the actual page size has shifted to an 11 by 17. Now what I have here is a viewport that I'm just going to drag out. Bring this up a little bit. And what the viewport is, it's a window. If I double click in it and I pan around, and I'm panning just by holding the middle click on, well, I'm actually holding my space bar on my Mac. But you can do it also by using your middle click on your mouse. I might have a shortcut for that to do, but my shortcut on my Magic Mouse doesn't work so well. So I'm just holding the space bar for mine, but you can do it the other way. But it's basically, the viewport is a window into your model. So I can scale this thing. I'm just scrolling in and out with my mouse. So it makes it easy to shift and change what view that you want. So now what we want to do is to scale this thing. And the scaling is just, it's allocating an inch increment to a foot increment, to a foot or to a ratio, and that's what we're gonna scale it at a 1 to 20, like we set the line type scale to. And you want to do that just by being in your model space. Make sure you're there and typing Z, enter, S, enter, 1 /20 XP, enter, and I'm gonna hold the mouse middle click button so I don't lose my scale, because what you could do is shift out and you've lost your scale, so you don't want to do that. So let me Control Z that back. So there's my scale. That's the 20 scale that I want. Maybe not. -20 -20 XP. There it is. Okay, there's the scale. That's what I want in my drawing, so cool. Keep that like that. PS for paper space. PS paper space. It's the back of paper space. And there's your model to scale. So that's 20. Another thing that if you don't see your line types generated like you see mine, like these dashes, you want to go paper space line type scale. PSLTACLE. Enter, and then you want to make that 0, and then enter, and then REA, enter again, and that'll it should generate that for you. You should be able to see that. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to be consistent. I'm going to go to my layers, and I want to double click on title block, and I want to create a title block for this thing. So I'm going to type in mtext. Come here, I'm going to drag this out, and the Center for Wellness, Health, HBW, Healing Garden. And I also want to do a space, and this is going to be the base map, just so we know, as you get in the habit of putting a title on your drawings. That came into scale pretty well. Now, if you needed to change the font size, you would have font size changes here. So if it was like a 0.3, you can change that. Where are my fonts at? There you go. You can select a different font if you'd like to. So all these options are available to you. Call that base map. Other information that you typically need in a title block: the name of the project, the board that you're displaying for the project. A north arrow is going to be important, so I'm just going to make a quick north arrow. I'm going to select the radius, draw out a rectangle, pull that. And what I'm going to do is then TR for trim, enter, click. You should be able to follow my mouse clicks as I go, TR. And you can hit enter or space bar to enter a command. That's how I'm doing that. H, enter for hatch. And I'm going to go over to the solids. And I'm going to select in that, enter, enter. And that did nothing. Why didn't it do anything? That was weird. Let's try that again. Hatch, H, enter, hatch. Solid. Bilayer, that's fine. It's really weird. Oh, for some reason, and I don't know why this has been happening, and this shouldn't happen. It's my computer's glitching. But when I'm putting in a hatch, it's jumping to a different layer than the layer that I'm on. I'm not sure why that is. But what I want to do is just then take that and I'm going to put it on my title block. And I want to turn off those hatches again. I like the line. And then hardscape and all that stuff. Let me get rid of that planar bed as well. Okay, there. So now that's where it's supposed to be. Good. Alright, so you have a north arrow, and also I'm going to write in the scale of this. So I'm going to bring this over. And you can hit your ortho too. There's an ortho button here, or I believe it's F8 on a PC. And I'm going to, so the scale is 1 to 20. Or we'll just be very specific about that. 1 feet, 0 inches equals 20 feet. So, I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller. Okay, and for move, so bring that over, bring that down. Nice too to have your name. Double clicking on it. Sage, there we go. And we're gonna roll with that for now. And there's your base map, and it's ready, pretty much ready to plot. You just need to set it up. So under your page setup, you can actually print to the Carver plotters, I believe 226 black, and make sure you're set to 11 by 17, and you should be good to go. And once you have that, you just Control P. You would see Carver 226, and you would select print, and your drawing should be fine, and you should be ready to go and move on to the next step, which is to actually go to the site and visit the site. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. And you can use this base map now to help orient yourself, and also you would need to identify what these items are. They're here, they're spaces, but what are they? And we'll pretend like in this particular survey that information wasn't given to you. If it's a good survey, that should be there. So you need to identify some of these things and begin to record this on your base map.